Right, good afternoon or good morning everybody, depending on where you are. My name is Daniel Scott. I am part of the marketing team over here at Edisoft, and I'll be handing over to Alexander Polizos, who will run through the presentation, which will take around 25 to 30 minutes. There is a chat window and a Q&A option available to attendees. So if you have any questions, I think everybody's line is on mute by default. So please go ahead and type those questions into the Q&A window, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So many thanks for your attention. I will hand over to Alexander Polizos, who will now run through the majority of the slides.
Great, thank you, Daniel. Again, good morning and good afternoon to everyone attending. My name is Alexander Polizos. I'm the Sage Program Manager here at Edisoft. Today, we're going to be looking at how Edisoft's cloud-connected supply chain optimizes warehouse performance, and how specifically, in coordination with BAASS as a trusted Sage partner, we've solved a number of leading challenges for Sage distributors, Sage 300 distributors and manufacturers. And again, I can't stress the importance enough of that partnership between the Sage ecosystem and ISVs, independent software vendors like ourselves, in coordination with your trusted Sage partner, BAASS Business Solutions. So for today's agenda, we'll be covering the following topic. First, sort of setting the stage for what, after 25 years of being in business, Edisoft is determined is the leading supply chain challenge for distributors and manufacturers. Moving into, obviously, how we solve this challenge as part of your Sage solution. We'll speak briefly on our EDI solution as it leads into the cloud-connected supply chain, and we'll focus more on the warehousing solution. We'll conclude with some success stories, mutual customers or end users of BAASS and Edisoft who have invested in this cloud-connected supply chain, and then we'll open it up to some Q&A. And hopefully this will spark plenty of questions, and you'll see why as we go through these slides. So the number one challenge for Sage 300 distributors and manufacturers, obviously whether it's process manufacturing or discrete manufacturing, we view it the same, and our solution pertains to the same both markets as well. But the number one challenge is disconnected supply chain ecosystem. Now on the screen in front of you, you're seeing a spattering of dots. Each of these circles represents a piece of your IT application ecosystem. Again, depending if you're a manufacturer or not, the bottom left one, MRP, may not apply. If you use your own trucks, you have your own fleet versus working with carriers like FedEx or UPS, the top right, CMS, Carrier Management System or Solution, may not apply to you. But you'll notice that there are considerations for your order management and your order channels, e-commerce, EDI. There's consideration for your core system, your ERP, your Enterprise Resource Planning System, that's Sage 300. There's considerations for tax, cloud on-premise or hybrid, that's considerations for your infrastructure. Where are all these applications deployed? Are they hosted? Are they in the cloud? Are they on-premise? There's a lot of considerations there. BI, business intelligence and reporting. What does that mean to your business, and what are you looking to get out of that, and how do you optimize that as part of a clear challenge when you have a disconnected or disparate supply chain application ecosystem? Okay, and then obviously on the order fulfillment side, WMS, warehouse management systems, we'll be talking about our application, Quikpak today, or 3PL. You might have a hybrid fulfillment strategy in using third-party logistics providers to supplement your own fulfillment of your goods. This disconnected supply chain ecosystem leads to multiple business challenges. So we view the number one challenge as not having these applications that I just covered connected, and these are downstream symptoms. So some of these you might look at and say, this is actually my number one challenge. Well, we view this as not the root cause. We view this as a symptom of a disconnected supply chain ecosystem. Now, there are only 12 on this screen. There can be many, many more, and we've seen many, many more with our existing customer base. But these are some of the big ones that we felt are leading business challenges or symptoms that are a byproduct or derivative of that disconnected application ecosystem. Obviously, business intelligence blind spots, being able to provide effective quarterly or annual fiscal quarter or annual reports, huge problem for a lot of our customers. Being able to understand inventory quantity and capacity, leading to missed sales opportunities potentially. you didn't realize that you had a shortage of inventory available and you brought on a new sale, and potentially either had to delay or turn that down, leading to poor customer satisfaction and potentially a lack of customer retention. These are just two. There's 12 on here. There's many more symptoms that you might be thinking about, and I would encourage you, if you have one that you don't see here, to please bring that up as part of the Q&A session, and I can help address or speak to how we've helped solve that as part of a connected supply chain solution. So the solution to this number one challenge of disconnected systems is seamlessly integrated supply chain applications. Now, these could be on the cloud. It could be a hybrid environment. You can choose to remain on-premise. With Edisoft and BAASS, you have that flexibility. But as you can see here, we've sort of taken that first slide with the challenge of those circles sort of being in a floating, chaotic state into one that's organized. Here we're representing it around a hub and spoke model, but this is truly what it is. And you can see that there is an order to these solutions themselves. So starting on the left with EDI order management, as you go clockwise around that circle, starting at the middle left, it's actually taking you through the order to cash cycle. Order channels into your ERP or Sage 300, dealing with tax considerations. That's a big trend in e-commerce today. All the way through fulfillment, and obviously, depending on your infrastructure at the end, where those shipments and where the data on your orders and shipments end up. Now, it's about seamlessly connecting these applications, but connecting them to Sage Business Cloud. So in this case, we're talking about Sage 300, whether you're running Sage 300 or Sage 300C, and delivering a cloud-connected supply chain end-to-end. So this is about being able to manage your orders and shipments end-to-end seamlessly, with Sage 300 being the single source of truth. So we're not only providing an end-to-end view in terms of your processes and providing best practices for how orders are managed and how orders are fulfilled, we're actually also providing, as part of this type of solution, data flow best practices, helping you understand how you can standardize your processes, regardless if you're doing fulfilling EDI orders in the warehouse or you're fulfilling e-commerce orders in the warehouse. And even within EDI, there are drop vendor ship, which are similar to e-commerce. There are cross-dock, there are distribution center orders. All of these orders have different requirements that may have you today following different processes in the warehouse for how you're fulfilling these. Well, as part of this solution, we show how you can standardize that regardless of the order type, regardless of the shipment type. So again, for shipments, it could be small parcel, it could be LTL, less than truckload, it could be FTL, full truckload. This solution standardizes your processes, standardizes the flow of data, it establishes and creates best practices, and as part of that end-to-end solution, you're also getting end-to-end reporting and audit trail, all of which is coming back at the final, the buck stops with Sage 300, so it's all coming back into Sage as well. This is what it looks like from Edisoft, and the only difference between this slide and the slide from two slides ago is the orange highlighted circles in the middle, left and right spokes, if you will. And those represent order management and order fulfillment. Those represent to Edisoft the two core pieces of our platform that make this cloud-connected supply chain work. On the order management side, we have a product called Merchant Cloud. It's also built in EDI functionality. On the order fulfillment side, we have our WMS Quikpak, which we'll be focusing on today, and that obviously creates the connectivity on the fulfillment side of your business. So those two for Edisoft are the cores that bring together all the other circles that are around this hub and spoke image. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because today we are talking about warehousing performance, but if you are working with EDI, you will understand shortly why this is a key consideration for your warehouse as well. So Merchant Cloud is the product. It's a SaaS multi-tenanted browser-based EDI and e-commerce order management solution. So without spending too much time here, because we want to get to warehouse performance, this is a view that Merchant Cloud allows you to connect. If it's EDI orders, translate. You can connect to any thousands, you name the trading partner, we've connected to them. You can manage your labels, whether they're GS1, UCC 128, or drop vendor ship packing slips out of this product. There are multiple options for automating and orchestrating advanced ship notices, which is what I'll link this product to in terms of warehouse performance and optimizing that. And there are integration add-ons if you have unique requirements or special EDI documents that are being mandated for you to use. Now, as part of the connected solution, the connected supply chain, Merchant Cloud as one of the two core pieces to our platform allows you to connect e-commerce web stores, Amazon, Shopify, obviously connectivity to your ERP, Sage 300, connectivity to the warehouse, and connectivity to the carrier management services. In this case, we're representing Process Weaver, which is an application that is endorsed and managed for the Sage 300 ecosystem. What I want to highlight here is the WMS and CMS circles as part of Merchant Cloud Connected Services. This is leading me to optimizing warehouse performance, or at least one element of it. You'll notice that it's a configurable connectivity to automate and orchestrate advanced shipment notices. The ASN 856 in the world of EDI and other documents, the 846, which allows you to update Walmart or Amazon or anyone that's managing an online presence for you, update them with inventory levels. This is data coming from your warehouse. Now, this is part of a connected supply chain solution. It's part of optimizing warehouse performance, which includes the management of order management channel documentation. In this case, we're talking about EDI. The same would apply for e-commerce. Being able to update your Amazon Seller Central or your Shopify web store with shipment notifications, with inventory levels. This data is not maintained in the front office. In fact, it's maintained as part of your warehouse or potentially being provided to you by your 3PL. So this is something that Edisoft is aware of. We understand how to manage this data as part of a configurable connected supply chain solution. That's why I wanted to start here with Merchant Cloud, and we'll build in and elaborate on this not only in the next couple of slides, but with a couple of success stories as well. So warehousing solution for Sage 300. Edisoft's warehousing solution, which is one of the second piece of our, the two cores that I spoke to, is called Quikpak. Comes in two editions, WFS, which stands for Warehouse Fulfillment Solution, and WAFS, which stands for Warehouse Automation and Fulfillment Solution. Okay. Now, before I get too into this wheel of functionality, the reason we focused on the name WFS and WAFS is, unlike some other WMSs that we compete with, we're not focused on providing clock in, clock out, timesheet management and functionality like this. This is about optimizing your orders and shipments in the warehouse and the processes that really determine the success or the performance of your business, which is how many orders can you bring in through your order channels, and how many can you process with few or less staff, or potentially in a fully automated fashion. So as it pertains to Quikpak, we call it WFS or WAFS because it's really about the core functionality required in the warehouse to manage your shipments, to manage the orders that are being fulfilled. But you'll also notice, turning to the slide and the image that makes up the majority of the slide, we have three key functions. The first is inbound functionality, being able to manage purchase order receiving and put away. So purchase orders that are generated in Sage 300, being downloaded into the warehouse, being able to scan those as they come to the receiving dock, and being able to put them away, whether you use routed or directed put away. We have that optionality depending on how your warehouse is set up. Then we come to internal functionality, which is the management of inventory transfers, adjustments, cycle counts, RMA. These are all what we would consider internal functionality. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, that's not for an order and shipment, which is true, but it's part of organizing your warehouse and the performance and the optimization of it to allow for the best fulfillment of outbound functionality, which is waiving, picking, packing, and labeling. If your inventory isn't managed properly, if it's not in the right location, if you don't have the right quantity and you don't have visibility to that, well, it makes the outbound process, which is really where your focus is, being able to get shipments out the door and get paid for those shipments, it makes that a lot more difficult if you don't have that organization and it's not optimized. Now, waiving is the scheduling and assignment of orders or batches of orders to be picked in the warehouse. So within Quikpak, we have that functionality to select a group of orders, again, orders that are outstanding or confirmed for picking as pick orders out of Sage 300 order entry, downloading those into the warehouse, allowing a supervisor to potentially waive and assign schedules of batch orders or single pick orders to particular users, or you can open up all the orders and the first one to essentially see them on their handheld and choose them as the one that picks and packs it. Again, that's a business process, that's a requirement, that's something particular and unique to every company, but you have that flexibility. Obviously, picking and packing, there's multiple methodologies that we support, some that are vertical industry based, some that are simply based on your own process, whether you pick in, whether you have a group of team members that perform picking in a separate lane for packing and a separate lane for shipping, or if you're performing that, depending on if you use case or pallet level packing, if you're performing that in one step. So we can configure the system to allow you to be as efficient as your business is built to be, depending on not only the types of inventory and items that you purchase and sell, but also the way your warehouse is physically set up. And then, of course, labeling. You'll notice under packing and labeling, we reference some typically EDI required items like the ASN, the Advanced Ship Notice, and GS1 labels, which is not an EDI standard, but typically required with EDI shipments. So within Quikpak, we also provision a library of labels, both drop vendor ship packing slips, GS1 labels, UCC 128 labels. This product is deployed either on a workstation or handheld barcode scanning devices. We support all operating systems, at least the big three, which are Android, iOS, and Windows. Gives you that flexibility to choose what type of investment you'd like to make in handheld devices, but at the same time, we obviously have that domain expertise here at Edisoft and in coordination with BAASS to help connect you with a hardware partner or help you understand which, based on your environment, which handheld devices would be best suited for your business. Okay. Now, Quikpak Connected Services, again, this is part of creating a connected supply chain. When you're thinking about optimizing performance of your warehouse, you can't be looking at the warehouse processes and the data that moves within the warehouse in an isolated fashion. That's what's led to Edisoft's unique value proposition of the cloud connected supply chain. If you're looking at the warehouse, you got to be asking yourself, how is data going to get into my warehouse? How are pick orders going to get to my warehouse? Today, most of our customers that we've onboarded are printing pick orders, which might be the case for you today, out of Sage 300, and running those either from the front office to the back office, sending them in email format. That's an aspect of connectivity. That manual printing process and potentially manual passing of the information, that gets eliminated. Now, that's one area when we look at connectivity. Then you might ask yourself, why is CMS on there? That's the bottom row on the screen. Well, a carrier management system allows you to automate or consolidate all the carriers that you use. So you have one user interface to contact FedEx, UPS, Purolator, Yellow Freight, you name the service that you use, they can be consolidated into a carrier management system like Process Weaver. Now, you have to ask yourself, well, what does that system need to call the carriers? It needs to know the dimensions of the shipment that you're sending, the weight and height. It needs to know where it's going, and it needs to know the vendor that it's going to, or the customer that it's going to. All of that data is coming from both the warehouse, physically what was picked and packed and how it was packed, as well as your ERP, Sage 300. Now, this is something that Edisoft has built a competency around. That's why it's led us to the cloud-connected supply chain that we're at today. We organize that data and can pass it to a carrier management system. That eliminates the need for your warehouse staff to access on a workstation the FedEx portal or the UPS portal or another portal. So again, eliminating all manual rekeying, optimizing the movement of data, providing you configurable connectivity and configurable applications that each one of these connected services is a product. It's a connector that we sell. Now, what that means is you get the benefits of our configurable technology. So when you want to upgrade Sage 300, we can help you do that in a matter of days, not weeks or months. When you don't have products that separate the connectors or the integration, and they don't provide that connectivity in a configurable way where they are using data mapping tools or different forms of integration that require custom code, well, when you want to upgrade Sage 300, if there's any changes that affect those integrations, you have to come in and rework with that customized code. So That is not how we've built our connectors. They are configurable. We do maintain compatibility to your connected services for you as part of your subscription to these products. And then you might be asking yourselves, Orchid Systems, which is in the middle one, we do have a connector to Orchid Systems bin tracking module that actually augments the native PIC sequencing available in Sage 300. So if you want to capture multi-level bins and bin tracking within Sage 300, Orchid Systems bin tracking module is a great tool. We also provide a connector to that. So these are the manifestation and what really comes to life when we look at what does it mean to have a cloud-connected supply chain. So we are looking at the processing of orders and shipments end-to-end and being able to provision to you a fully connected system that has built into it best practices not only by industry, but generally for order and shipment handling, as well as data flow best practices, allowing you to avoid integrating directly to one of your e-commerce web stores directly to a carrier. If you do that, you're bypassing the ERP. You're bypassing Sage 300. That data is not going through Sage. Sage and any reporting you do out of it does not have visibility to that data. So we can help you think about a cloud-connected supply chain and the benefits to you across multiple levels. And again, we do that in coordination and partnership with BAASS. So now that we've gone through what Quikpak is, what it can do, what connected services can be attached to it, we're going to go into some success stories. And again, these are success stories that these are mutual customers between Edisoft and BAASS Business Solutions. We're very proud of the work we've done in coordination with BAASS to provide the next two customers that I'm going to show you a full end-to-end solution. And keep in mind as I go through these, depending on your budget, depending on your timeline, these are configurable modular services. So both these customers actually, well, one of them decided to manage a project from start to finish with all an end-to-end solution. The other one, which I'll get to in just a moment, added it piece by piece. And you have that option. You have the ability to do that with Edisoft and BAASS. So just before I get to those two success stories, here is a sample of some of our Sage 300 customers across a wide range of vertical industries. The main ones that we tend to see a lot are apparel, food and beverage, consumer packaged goods, healthcare, health and beauty. Other in that column represents companies in the automotive industry. Luxoft is actually a third-party logistics provider. Energex is in fuel and energy. So over 25 years, Edisoft has worked with every vertical industry you can think of as it pertains to distributors and manufacturers. So we've built into our products in a configurable way those options that pertain to apparel, such as musical runs when it comes to picking and packing, those options that pertain to food and beverage, lot and expiry controls and the tracking of that, those options that pertain to consumer packaged goods, the handling of serialized inventory. Across all of these three, you might be looking at using license plate picking, which we can support as well as a unique feature. Now, the reason you might be asking yourself why I didn't go too deep into the feature function set of Quikpak is we've been able to support over the years all these different industries, companies that range from SMB to mid-market to enterprise in terms of their own size. The understanding that each one of these customers came to with Edisoft was that it's less about feature functionality in a WMS. It's more about understanding the end-to-end process and how you're going to enable your systems to take away the manual efforts, increase productivity, increase visibility across your organization by making Sage 300 the single source of truth, and ultimately increase your profitability. So here's the first success story. Again, mutual customer, between BAASS and Edisoft. This is PETRA. They're a hygienics provider, soaps and things like that for fitness clubs. The challenges that they were facing were inconsistency with the systems that they were using across all of their warehouses. They have multiple warehouses, some in the United States, some in Canada. What they were looking at was inconsistent processes and inconsistent applications or systems supporting those processes. Well, what does that lead to? At least inconsistent reporting. This is probably reminding you back to the first two slides where I talked about the disconnected supply chain leading to multiple business challenges. One of those being ineffective processes or inefficient processes, another one being business intelligence blind spots. Lack of visibility with customer sales orders, shipment profiles, freight costs. Without having data passing through the right stack in your order to cash cycle, going through a best practice for where that data needs to go from point to point across your order to cash journey, they weren't able in the front office to see where were those sales orders? How were their customer reps going to update their accounts on the status of the shipments that they were expecting, leading to better customer satisfaction. In the world of EDI, leading to better vendor scorecard rankings. And that's just one example. So today we've actually are in the midst of completing this full stack here, which is why in the next case study you'll see some measurable results that we've achieved. But this is the full solution that PETRA's invested in. This was based on the vision that Edisoft provided for a connected supply chain. So they're running Sage 300 as their core accounting system. They've augmented their pick sequencing out of the box in Sage 300 by purchasing Orchid Systems bin tracking module. We provide a connector to that. They're using our product Merchant Cloud for EDI. They're using our product Quikpak in the warehouse. They're using a product called Quikpak to manage their shipments and sending those to carriers. So again, similar to Process Weaver, they chose a product called Quikpak. For Edisoft, because we have a very unique connector strategy, we have standards for how we connect, we helped manage the exchange of information between Sage 300 and Quikpak at a time when PETRA was not able to. So we have that domain expertise not only in the supply chain industry, but technically as well with our in-house development team and in-house project and professional services team. So they can actually help you if you're having trouble with integration. We can help you do that as well with, of course, BAASS as our trusted partner in view of your accounts and your needs. Sage Inventory Advisor is a known tool in the Sage ecosystem for dealing with inventory forecasting and replenishment. Now, every business intelligence or reporting tool is only as good as the data that feeds it. So what you should know as well about our connector strategy is this is all done through APIs for Sage ecosystem and Sage products, which means it's real-time data exchange. So as a process is completed, that data is organized and passed to the next application, or as you might think of it, as the next stage in your order to cash cycle. That means when your shipments are going out the door, we are creating that shipment record in Sage. We're drawing down on the inventory and inventory control. We can even create an invoice record. Well, the inventory that's being drawn down on inventory control as physically as shipments are being leaving the warehouse, Sage Inventory Advisor is processing that in real time. It's optimizing warehouse performance, not only from a processes standpoint, but from a reporting standpoint. Giving you visibility on when you need to replenish, being able to hit that sweet spot of inventory replenishment so you're not dealing with inventory surpluses and you're not dealing with inventory shortages. Being able to better manage your cash cycles as a result of system orchestration for data and processes. The next case study that I'm going to cover is JB Weld. JB Weld was actually one of the first customers we worked with around the connected supply chain roughly a decade ago at this point. You can see on the right-hand side, their solution again. They're running Sage 300. They have Merchant Cloud. They have Quikpak for picking and packing, and they decided to invest in Process Weaver for carrier management. They provide epoxies. They are a consumer packaged goods industry. Specifically, they sell glues or epoxies. Now, what they recognized was having an end-to-end solution not only increased their productivity, it also gave them the ability to better report. And what I want to highlight is the second last point under the results section. That end-to-end solution, creating an end-to-end audit trail and end-to-end reporting, allowed them to actually outbid their competitor for Walmart shelf space. So at the time when they were doing this and implementing, they realized the type of data structure that this end-to-end solution provisioned by Edisoft. And they were able to take that data and do a volume analysis with Walmart to say, with this increase in volume, I can get based on the productivity gains that I'm getting and based on the reporting I have, I can actually outbid my competitor, and I can provide to you, Walmart, product at this cost, but I need all the volume you have in this region. And they use that and successfully outbid their competitor. So aside from all this other fantastic benefits or results there, hard productivity gains that they experienced, this was a key one that I wanted to highlight to you today to let you know that it's not just about what product is best for your warehouse. There are multiple warehousing systems out there. Now, of course, Edisoft is the managed and endorsed warehousing provider for Sage 300. But aside from that, you might be looking at other ones. You might be doing your research outside of the Sage ecosystem. What you need to be hearing from those vendors is, if they're even speaking about it, how is your entire supply chain going to be connected? Now, you did notice with both PETRA and JB Weld, they were managing EDI orders. If anyone is using EDI today or has EDI channels or is looking to get into EDI, I will point out that Quikpak as a warehousing product does uniquely optimize EDI processes by being able to automatically generate and send outbound EDI documents, not only the invoices, but advanced shipment notices. So by providing this connected supply chain, we're organizing all the data that's needed for EDI documents, and most of our customers today, they actually do not even access Merchant Cloud application on a daily basis. It is running in an automated fashion for them. Orders are coming in, they're being posted to order entry in Sage 300 automatically. They're being fulfilled in the warehouse by our product or another product, and they're automatically coming back and updating Merchant Cloud with all the data they need to automatically send out those outbound documents. So again, it's about optimizing warehouse performance, but to do so, you need to make sure that the team in the warehouse is focusing on what they do best. Purchase order receiving, put away, picking, packing, labeling, shipping, and any form of inventory management that you have to conduct on a weekly, quarterly, or annual basis. Anytime order management channels start to bog that down, you're not optimizing warehouse performance. So it's more than just feature functionality. It's knowing that other departments within your organization are dependent on data and information from the warehouse. How do you allow your systems, how do you allow your connected supply chain to handle that exchange of data for you, to remove manual processes, to remove inefficient processes, and be able to get that level of visibility and productivity to really ultimately improve the success and performance of your business. So why choose Edisoft? Well, we're Sage certified not only as a vendor of these products, but also at a development level. We are a development partner with Sage. We have certified API integration for Sage 300. We have end-to-end supply chain connectors, meaning to say we'll bring together not only connectors that are needed for the warehouse. If you have an order management strategy or you're looking to establish one, we can help you with that as well. These connectors, by not requiring any software coding to integrate and connect your applications, provision simplified and cost-effective Sage ERP upgrades. Knowing that with BAASS and Edisoft, you have one vendor through BAASS to go to manage the upgrade for your Sage ERP, Sage 300 ERP, without having to bring together disparate vendors and multiple, potentially relying on complex or independent skill sets to understand the integrations that have been implemented into your environment. Those go away with the Edisoft connectors for your supply chain. We have a Net Promoter Score of plus 40. We're very proud of that. It is industry leading as it pertains to supply chain software vendors. That I would attribute to both our solutions and the outcomes they provide, but equally to our professional services team. So we have a dedicated team of project managers, implementers, consulting/solutions engineers, technical support staff, all of whom are answering your your questions, whether they're technical support in real time, working with you on a weekly basis if we're implementing a project. There's a number of services that we provide to both deploy a solution and help you support it on an ongoing basis, and I would attribute that as an equal factor to our Net Promoter Score, as well as our solutions. Again, the mandate by which we design our technology, and I will reemphasize, we have an in-house development team. That's another important consideration. We design everything to be configurable in nature. And what that means is fast, hassle-free deployment. We're going to be able to get you up and running pretty rapidly not only with a warehouse system, but potentially, if you're interested, with an entire cloud-connected supply chain solution. Easy, timely migrations, again, similar to the cost-effective Sage ERP upgrades. If you're looking to migrate from one carrier management system to another, from one EDI provider to another, well, our connectors, our configurability allows you to do that. And we do provision our services and our products in a industry-leading time. So now I'll turn it back to Daniel Scott, our channel marketing manager, who'll just speak a little bit about some other follow-ups you can do where some other opportunities available to you to learn more about Edisoft.
Great. Thanks very much, Alexander. So just before we break for the Q&A session, I just wanted to highlight a couple of upcoming events which will explore Edisoft's Sage 300 warehousing solution in a little more depth. So for these interactive webinars, Edisoft, we're inviting all Sage distributors and manufacturers who are looking for a warehousing solution that will establish order fulfillment processes based on industry best practice and easily scale their e-commerce and retail businesses as well. So the sessions will begin with a high-level overview of Edisoft's warehouse automation and fulfillment system, Quikpak, before opening up the conversation in a wide Q&A format. So at that point, the attendees will have the opportunity to raise questions regarding their specific warehouse challenges or comments to Edisoft's warehouse specialists who have more than 20 years of domain experience working with leading Sage customers. And topics that will be covered for the first webinar include how to optimize cycle counts, as well as best practice packing and shipping processes when shipping costs are, as everybody knows, escalating. Now, the second webinar continues the theme with, again, a deeper dive into the specifics of the food and beverage industry and some of the attributes and best practice that make Edisoft's solution such a strong fit with leading food and beverage companies such as Lagoon Seafood, Krenos, Gale Spice, and Jones Soda. And topics covered in this session will be dealing with issues such as catch weight and how to optimize the packing and shipping processes for perishable goods. So we're encouraging customers to join these webinars to learn more about the unique benefits of Edisoft supply chain solutions. And I believe the links to sign up for these webinars have just appeared in the chat window. Thank you to BAASS for that. So we encourage customers that want to learn more and have a chance to have a discussion with an Edisoft expert to join one of these sessions.
Great, thank you, Daniel. And this will be a demo of the product, and as Daniel had said, in an open forum Q&A. So we'll actually be showing the product. You'll be able to ask specific questions. And, we'll be able to work on the fly with one of our domain experts, warehousing domain experts, to show you and demonstrate that functionality. So at this point, we'd like to open it up to any Q&A. Probably covered a lot of topics here, and please feel free to, unless BAASS says otherwise, please feel free to put your question into the chat box. I'm not sure if BAASS will be opening up the lines to speak verbally, but again, please, if you have a question, the chat box is available to you.
Yes, so if anyone does have a question right now, just type it in the chat box. I do have just a few questions here already. So the first one is, how much does Quikpak cost?
That's a good question. Very direct one, but a very fair question. Quikpak, again, depending on the functionality. So if you recall, we covered 3 key areas of functionality. Inbound functionality related to purchase order and receiving, internal functionality related to inventory management, and outbound functionality related to the weighting, picking, packing, labeling, and shipping of goods. Depending on what your needs are, all 3 or a combination of them, and again, you can scale and it's all modular and configurable. Quikpak ranges anywhere from roughly $350 Canadian for a 5-user package up to roughly $950 Canadian for 5 users. Now that's for one warehouse. So again, you have the ability to add and subtract pieces as needed. But typically we find companies making an investment, and those are monthly subscription prices. So between 350 Canadian and 950 Canadian, depending on those 3 core functions for approximately 5 users, 1 warehouse. That's typically where we see people starting within that range.
Okay, another question I have is, how quickly can I be up and running with Quikpak?
Okay, another great question, and obviously I had spoken to the rapid and hassle-free deployment, so I'm glad that we've been challenged on that. The configurability of the connector and the application is what that's based off of. So what that means is typically with warehousing, there is a consideration during deployment for integration, and that does affect timelines. For us, that's about a day's process to implement a connector. We'll do that review ahead of time with with BAASS as your partner. But again, depending on those three core functions that you would be looking to implement, at the low end, we've implemented from start to finish, which means going through our project delivery lifecycle of planning, kickoff, configuration, testing. We then hand over the system to the end users to do UAT, user acceptance testing. We then go live and we offer support, post-production support. That process for the low-end functionality or just one of the core functions is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the amount of time that you would like to test your system and processes internally. For all three, we're probably looking at somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. So varies from 1 month to 2 months. Again, we will help you plan. The more we plan upfront, the quicker we can configure and turn on the system. But that's typically what we're seeing. So on average, about 6 weeks start to finish.
Okay, and I just got another question that came in. Are the user licenses interchangeable? And you mentioned it was per warehouse. Is it possible to have less than 5 users?
Yes, so Quikpak, WFS, and WAFS come in starter packages of 1, 3, and 5 user licenses packages. So that's the core system, depending on the edition that you would choose. And each one of those packages, again, comes with either 1, 3, or 5 user licenses. There are individual user licenses as well. There's also site licenses. So if you have 2 warehouses and 8 users in each warehouse, you'd probably get, you would purchase the core system with 5, and we'd add 3 users and 1 site license. I'm not sure if that answered the question about interchangeability. To give some more clarity, they're concurrent user licenses, which just means that we don't apply it to a named individual in your corporation. If you have temporary staff or people coming in on different shifts in your warehouse, if you have 5 people at any given time in the warehouse, those would be the amount of users you need. As opposed to you have 20 staff that come in different shifts of 5, you'd only need 5 user licenses.
Okay, perfect. Just the last question is, how is Quikpak better than competing solutions?
I think Quikpak in isolation, that's where Edisoft has chosen to differentiate itself around the cloud-connected supply chain solution. One area where Quikpak is unique in the world of warehousing is our management of EDI documentation. Edisoft, as the name suggests, EDI software. 25 years ago, we began in the world of EDI and quickly expanded into other product categories of the supply chain, recognizing that the main challenge was a disparate application system. Quikpak is unique when you look at it in isolation compared to other warehousing products. It is unique in how we organize data for the purposes of EDI documentation. Now, any warehouse management system that's worth its weight should have inbound receiving functionality, inventory management functionality, and outbound functionality. There are some that will have, like I had mentioned or alluded to earlier, more, I wouldn't necessarily call it advanced, but additional bells and whistles related to clock, sheet, time management, if you have people punching in and out. Edisoft chose to focus very strategically on the cycle for orders and shipments. So where it is unique in isolation is EDI and handling of those documents and being able to automate the orchestration of those documents, removing that bottleneck. But it's also unique in context of our cloud-connected supply chain solution, which is both our connectors and applications working in concert to deliver an augmented experience in the warehouse.
Okay, and then the last question, they said they weren't sure if you went over it or not, but about software on devices in the warehouse, like a tablet or a mobile device, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So just to be perfectly clear, Edisoft is a software vendor. We do not sell hardware devices ourselves. We have a number of partners that we work with, and I know BAASS has a number that they work with as well, so we'd be able to present to you a full package. But in terms of the hardware, our software is operating system OS agnostic. So you can deploy it on iOS if you'd like to use iPads or iPhones with Bluetooth scanning devices attached. We can deploy it on Windows devices. We can deploy it on Android devices. Some common devices that we see are, Zebra or Motorola devices. I would recommend you look at rugged devices in any warehouse. I know that the iPad or iPhone option can be appealing because of the cost effectiveness. They are fragile devices. Long-range scanning can be an issue. Now, again, these are suggestions. They are not necessarily hard recommendations. You might be able to get away with that in your warehousing environment, but they are OS agnostic. So regardless of the device, if you're talking about an RF barcode handheld RF barcode scanning device, they are operating system agnostic. So you have really freedom to choose any handheld device that you'd like to go with. This product, Quikpak, can also be deployed on a workstation, so a desktop computer in the warehouse with a tethered scanner attached to that computer. So you have a lot of flexibility in how it gets deployed.
So I don't see any other questions that have come in. So I would just like to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day, as well as you guys for presenting. And I hope that everyone took away something beneficial from the presentation.
Yes, I'll echo that from Edisoft's side. Thank you, BAASS, for inviting Edisoft and hosting this webinar today. And as you can see on the screen in front of you, aside from the webinars that Edisoft will be hosting in the month of February, please do reach out to Barry Yantha at BAASS Business Solutions if you have any more questions or would like to find out more about BAASS and Edisoft's partnership in delivering optimized warehouse performance. Thank you.
Thank you.